The Audacity Code, unleashing your revolutionary power. What if everything we've been told about women succeeding in business is not just wrong, but actively holding us back? What if the very advice meant to empower us is, in fact, keeping us shackled? Today, we're diving deep into a revolutionary concept that will shake the foundations of how we think about women in leadership and entrepreneurship. This isn't just another motivational talk. This is a call to arms, a rallying cry for every woman who's ever been told to tone it down, to wait her turn, to be grateful for the crumbs when she deserves the whole damn cake. I'm here to share insights from an extraordinary conversation I had with Mary Davis, a trailblazing entrepreneur and advocate for women's empowerment. Mary isn't just another success story. She's a disruptor, a revolutionary who's changing the game for women in business across the globe. Her work has empowered thousands of women to break free from societal constraints and redefine success on their own terms. Mary's impact extends far beyond the boardroom. She's igniting a movement that's reshaping our entire economic landscape. Mary introduces us to a concept she calls the Audacity Code. And let me tell you, it's about to flip the script on everything you thought you knew about success. Here's the truth bomb. The transition from corporate leadership to entrepreneurship isn't about polishing yourself or making your approach more palatable. It's about embracing the fight, disrupting the status quo, and being unapologetically authentic. It's time to stop trying to fit into a system that wasn't built for us and start building our own. Now, I know what you're thinking, but we've made progress. There are more women in leadership roles than ever before. And you're right. But let me ask you this. At what cost? How many of us have dimmed our light, swallowed our words, or compromised our vision to get there? How many of us are still fighting twice as hard for half the recognition? Let me share a story that illustrates this point perfectly. Sarah, a brilliant executive in a Fortune 500 company, spent years leaning in, playing by the rules, and trying to fit the mold of what her company considered leadership material. She worked longer hours than her male colleagues, took on extra projects, and even changed her communication style to be more assertive without being labeled aggressive. After a decade of this, Sarah was passed over for a promotion in favor of a less experienced male colleague. The reason he was deemed a better cultural fit, that was Sarah's wake-up call. She realized that no matter how much she contorted herself to fit into the existing system, it would never truly accept her or value her contributions equally. This is the reality for countless women in the corporate world. We're told to lean in, but when we do, we're often pushed back. We're advised to be assertive, but when we speak up, we're labeled as difficult. We're encouraged to lead, but when we do, our leadership styles are scrutinized in ways our male counterparts never experience. Mary Davis argues, and I wholeheartedly agree, that real transformation doesn't come from playing by the rules of a rigged game. It comes from changing the game entirely. Let's break down the Audacity Code. First, embrace the fight. Mary uses the analogy of boxing, and it's spot on. Success in the ring isn't about avoiding hits. It's about learning to take them and keep moving forward. The corporate to entrepreneur transition isn't a smooth, polite process. It's a battle, and you need to be ready for it. Think about it. How many times have you been told to tone it down, to be less aggressive, to smile more? That advice isn't about making you a better leader. It's about making you a more compliant one. It's time to reject that narrative. Instead, channel your inner Muhammad Ali. Be bold, be provocative, be willing to ruffle feathers. Ali didn't become the greatest by playing it safe. He declared his greatness before the world was ready to acknowledge it. That's the kind of audacity we need. Let me tell you about Jasmine, a woman who embodied this principle. Jasmine was a mid-level manager at a tech company, constantly being told to soften her approach. One day in a crucial meeting where her male colleagues were talking over her, Jasmine stood up, raised her voice, and said, "I will not be silenced. My ideas have value and you will hear them." The room fell silent. From that day on, Jasmine was never interrupted again. She went on to found her own tech company where assertiveness and bold ideas are celebrated, not stifled. Second, practice disruptive leadership. We're not here to fit it into existing structures. We're here to flip the table and build our own. This isn't about gradual change or incremental progress. It's about revolution. Consider Viola Davis. She didn't wait for Hollywood to offer her better roles. She created her own production company to tell the stories that weren't being told. She used her platform to challenge industry norms and push for systemic change. That's disruptive leadership in action. Or think about Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. When she couldn't find an undergarment that worked for her, she didn't just complain. She invented one. And when male dominated manufacturing companies dismissed her idea, she didn't give up. She disrupted the entire undergarment industry, becoming the youngest self made female billionaire in the process. And third, embrace unapologetic authenticity. Success doesn't come from playing by others' rules or softening your approach, it comes from being boldly, uncompromisingly you. Think of Beyonce. She doesn't just perform, she makes statements. She doesn't just create music, she creates cultural moments. Her work celebrates Black female power without apology or compromise. That's the kind of authenticity that changes the world. Or consider Lizzo, who has revolutionized the music industry, not just with her talent, but with her unapologetic self love and body positivity. In an industry that often tries to mold artists into a certain image, Lizzo refused to conform. Her authenticity has not only led to commercial success, but has also sparked important conversations about representation and self acceptance. Now, I can already hear the skeptics, but what about strategy? What about building alliances? Isn't this approach too confrontational? Here's where Mary's wisdom really shines. The fight mentality isn't just about confrontation, it's about strategic empowerment. It's about combining assertiveness with strategic thinking and community building. Think of it like this: a boxer doesn't just throw wild punches, they study their opponent, they train relentlessly, they develop a game plan. But when they step into the ring, they're not there to make friends, they're there to win. In the same way, embracing the Audacity Code doesn't mean abandoning strategy. It means approaching your strategy with the mindset of a revolutionary. It means being willing to take risks, to challenge conventions, to push boundaries. Let me share another story that illustrates this perfectly. Maria, a Latina entrepreneur, was trying to secure funding for her tech startup. After being turned down by countless venture capital firms, often being told her idea wasn't marketable enough, Maria decided to change her approach. Instead of continuing to pitch to traditional VC firms, Maria organized a group of fellow Latina entrepreneurs. Together, they created their own investment collective, pooling their resources and expertise. Not only did Maria secure funding for her startup, but she also created a support system for other Latina entrepreneurs facing similar challenges. This is strategic empowerment in action. Maria didn't just fight against the system, she created a new one. She turned rejection into opportunity, not just for herself, but for her entire community. But here's the crucial part: it's not a solo journey. The real power of the Audacity Code comes when we band together, when we create networks of support, when we lift each other up, when we create new power structures that elevate all women. This is where the magic happens. Imagine a world where women in business and leadership aren't competing for a few token seats at the table, but are building entirely new tables. Imagine the innovation, the creativity, the sheer force for positive change that could be unleashed. Now, I know this isn't easy. The system we're challenging is deeply entrenched. It's backed by centuries of tradition, by massive economic interest, by ingrained cultural norms. Pushing against it feels daunting, even impossible at times. But remember this: every great revolution in history seemed impossible until it was inevitable. The civil rights movement, women's suffrage, the fall of apartheid, all of these seemed like insurmountable challenges until the moment they weren't. And in each case, it wasn't gradual, polite change that tipped the scales. It was bold, audacious action by people who refused to accept the status quo. So, what does this mean for you? How do you start living the Audacity Code? First, take a hard look at your own behavior. Are you holding yourself back? Are you dimming your light to make others comfortable? Are you swallowing your ideas because they might be seen as too much? Stop it right now. Your ideas, your energy, your unique perspective, that's your power. Don't you dare dim it for anyone. Second, start building your tribe. Find other women who share your vision, your drive, your refusal to accept things as they are. Support each other, challenge each other, push each other to be bolder, to reach higher. Remember, a rising tide lifts all boats. Third, be prepared to be uncomfortable. Growth happens outside your comfort zone. Leadership happens outside your comfort zone. Revolution definitely happens outside your comfort zone. Embrace the discomfort. Let it fuel you. Fourth, start thinking bigger. Don't just aim to be the CEO of an existing company. Aim to create new industries. Don't just fight for a seat at the table. Build a bigger, better table. Don't just break glass ceilings. Reimagine what the whole building could look like without any ceilings at all. Finally, remember that this isn't just about you. Every time you stand up, speak out, and refuse to be diminished, you're creating space for other women to do the same. You're not just changing your own life, you're changing the world. Now, I want to be clear about something. This isn't about rejecting all forms of cooperation or burning every bridge. Strategic alliances, thoughtful diplomacy, and the ability to work within existing systems when necessary are all valuable skills. The key is to approach these tactics from a position of strength, not acquiescence. Use them as tools in your revolutionary toolkit, not as limitations on your ambition. Let's talk about what the world could look like if more women embrace the Audacity Code. We're not just talking about more female CEOs or a better gender balance in boardrooms, though those would certainly be positive outcomes. We're talking about a fundamental shift in how business is done, how leadership is defined, and how success is measured. Imagine companies that prioritize long-term sustainability over short-term profits. Imagine leadership styles that value emotional intelligence and collective success as much as individual achievement. Imagine innovation driven not just by the quest for market dominance, but by a genuine desire to solve real world problems. This isn't a fantasy. There's growing evidence that women's leadership styles tend to embody these qualities. But too often, women are forced to suppress these tendencies to fit into existing corporate cultures. The Audacity Code says no more. It's time to lead as our authentic selves and change the culture in the process. But let's be real, this won't be easy. You'll face resistance. You'll be called difficult, aggressive, unrealistic, good. Wear those labels as badges of honor because here's the truth. Well-behaved women seldom make history. And right now, we need to make some history. Remember, every time you stand firm in your audacity, you're not just fighting for yourself. You're fighting for every woman who comes after you. You're fighting to create a world where the next generation of women won't have to fight these same battles. So, what's the one thing I want you to take away from this talk? It's simple, but it's powerful. You have permission. Permission to be bold, to be audacious, to be unapologetically ambitious. Permission to challenge, to disrupt, to revolutionize. Permission to be fully, authentically you in all your brilliant, complex, powerful glory. The Audacity Code isn't just a strategy for success, it's a call to arms. It's a rallying cry for every woman who's ever been told to tone it down, to wait her turn, to be grateful for the crumbs when she deserves the whole damn cake. It's time to stop playing by rules that were never designed for our success. It's time to rewrite the rules. No, scratch that. It's time to throw out the rule book entirely and create something new, something better, something that allows all of us to thrive. So here's my challenge to you. From this moment on, I want you to approach every situation, every meeting, every negotiation, every interaction with audacity. Ask yourself, what would I do if I were being bold? What would I say if I weren't afraid? How would I act if I truly believed in my own power? And then do that, say that, be that. Because the truth is, the world needs your audacity. We need your bold ideas, your unapologetic ambition, your revolutionary spirit. We need you to stand up, speak out, and lead in a way that only you can. The path of audacity isn't easy, it's not comfortable, but it's necessary, it's transformative. And ultimately, it's the only way to create real lasting change. So, are you ready? Are you ready to embrace the Audacity Code? Are you ready to step into your power, to lead with authenticity, to change the game entirely? The world is waiting. The revolution is calling, and it starts with you. Remember the words of Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's time to confront that fear. It's time to embrace your power. It's time to be audacious. The question isn't whether you're ready for the world. The question is the world ready for you? So go forth. Be bold. Be audacious. Be revolutionary. The world is waiting for the change only you can bring. Thank you.